Right, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very interesting article from The Hollywood Reporter, which tends to... The Hollywood Reporter and most mainstream media tends to be very biased towards Disney. They like Disney. They want to curry favour with them. It's not a massive shock or a surprise. You don't even have to be someone who dislikes Disney to realise that. It's fairly evident. It's fairly obvious. Now, this article is interesting because it takes a fairly unbiased approach right up until the end, where it then starts to reveal, it's very pro sort of Disney manner, but then ends with a very interesting stab at Disney almost. And it's something which I said when Disney moved Mulan to Disney Plus. Why are theaters not boycotting Disney? Why not? They did it immediately. AMC did it immediately with Universal. So it's very interesting, it's very telling how the landscape is shaped by Disney. Now they are opening the floodgates for studios to take their properties and release them elsewhere without going to theatres. That is what is happening. But like I said, this article is very interesting. It goes to say how essentially Disney is taking a huge gamble with Mulan. I will say it sort of misquotes some figures here and there. It says $200 million. It's rumoured to be about $300+ million in fairness, and that's from some of the actors. So I would always err on the side of caution and sort of disbelief, skepticism when these figures are revealed. Now, the interesting thing about this article, when it starts to discuss the PVOD platform, is it really does reveal the crux of the matter moving forwards. Is when these companies do this, is we will never know whether they've bombed or not, right? We will never know whether Disney or Universal or Warner Media, because obviously AT&T, Warner Brothers releasing something on HBO Max and things like that. They don't have to reveal figures. They don't have to. They don't have to reveal the profit line. And it also goes to show some way that any of the figures that Disney have revealed for Disney Plus, same with CBS, same with Amazon, in fact, same with Netflix, their figures are not independently verified. They can be complete abstract lies. So it's a very interesting article, even though they do try to maintain that sort of positive bias towards Disney. So let's dive into it. And I've recorded this video a few times, in fact, but I didn't know quite sort of what angle to take. But it's really important to note that Mulan is a Chinese movie. It's made for China. It's for the Chinese market. It's being released everywhere else in the world on Disney Plus, and in China they're waiting to release it in theaters. So it'll be really interesting to see what it makes in China, and then also see what Disney goes to say about its sort of Disney Plus sales. But let's dive into it, right? So I'm only going to pick sort of bits and pieces of this article to go through, because the whole article is not relevant for the point I'm trying to make, or the sort of examples that I'm trying to make here. But I'll leave it linked down below so you're not being misled or anything like that. Go check the whole article out. But Disney's plan to sell Mulan for $29.99 to the streamer's customers in the US and other select countries makes the film, whose big screen release was thrice delayed because of the novel coronavirus and widespread cinema closures, the centerpiece of the premium video on demand revolution. Now that's interesting, isn't it? And it goes to say that studios will follow Disney's trend here. So this is why it's very surprising why theatre chains are not up in arms, because they know this. It's not they are going to change the landscape. But I also think this is a huge gamble, and we will never know the lengths that it will bomb or that it will succeed. We just never will. As this article goes on to state, like Universal, which signed an unprecedented pact with AMC Theatres on July 28th to create a 17-day PVOD window, Disney is experimenting with top-tier pricing for home viewing as the pandemic wears on. PVOD is certainly here to stay, and that was from Kevin Goetz. COVID-19 isn't responsible for PVOD's success, it merely accelerated the inevitable, which makes perfect sense. I've long said that this is going to be the future. I don't want it to be the future because I want theatres to still be there, but it's definitely the future. It unfortunately is the case. Also, side note, and I have said this in other versions of this video that I've made, the PVOD's success and things like that, it'll be interesting to see how Tenet does, because it's actually released in like 12 days, I think, in the UK. And if you guys want me to vlog going to the theatre to watch that film as a vlog plus review type thing, please do let me know, because we all remain very blinkered in our worldview, I think. Inevitably, like everyone, not just the States, but everyone. And I think a lot of you might be intrigued to see how other parts of the world are coping, or their perception of the coronavirus situation is. So let me know your thoughts down below, because there's definitely the option for me to do that. I'm very happy to do that if there's enough demand. Now here's the interesting part, right? And it does note, Chapek told investors Mulan is a one-off, but also said that we're going to test the appetite for PVOD. Now they note that Disney's focus on Disney Plus, there's attracted 60 million subscribers in just 9 months. Now, we don't know whether that's 60 million that have joined and left, 60 million that have joined and stayed, 60 million plus people that have dropped off. We don't know. We don't know whether that's 60 million active subscribers, and that number has not been independently verified. So it's really important to take that with a pinch of salt. Now, it goes on to say here, right? And this is the interesting part. So since the pandemic forced all US theatres to close in mid-March, about 14 films that would have otherwise received a traditional theatrical run have gone to PVOD, according to Screen Engine. This is the thing that you need to remember, and there's no bias here. Unlike box office gross, PVOD earnings are not reported. They don't have to be reported. They're not independently verified. It's just something that the PVOD, the streaming platform, holds, right? And they can make up whatever lies they want. They can say whatever they want. They don't have to tell the truth. Now, Universal did reveal that Trolls World Tour earned 100 million in rentals in the sequel's first few weeks of play in the US. That's really quite good. That's not bad. Now, it goes on to say that so far the cost of renting new titles, including Trolls World Tour, Universal's The King of Staten Island, and Warner Brothers' Scoob, has been $19.99 for 48 hours. Mulan is charging $10 more, but one major difference is that those paying will have access to Mulan for as long as they subscribe to Disney Plus. So you don't buy it, which is that's a sorry state of the world, isn't it? Like, I always think that when you're buying stuff now, like I've rented some things through Amazon, right? Amazon Prime. And I will never buy them because I don't know whether I'm going to keep them or whether Amazon will change their model. Do you know what I mean? These kind of things. Always good to have physical media, or at least have a physical downloadable copy that cannot be removed. Now, the other part of this article is not that interesting, not that relevant, but again, go and check it out if you want. It goes to say how apparently there's some demand for Mulan because THR did a morning poll, basically. And there's not that much demand for Mulan, I will say that, but they're positive. But they also, like I said, they do note that these figures don't have to be revealed. But here's the interesting bit, right? So one benefit to debuting the film on Disney Plus platform for PVOD is that Disney can bypass marketplaces like iTunes and Amazon Prime to keep more of the profits. Again, this is a big gamble for them. While the home entertainment revenue split is always more generous than the box office one, studios relying on digital retailers for their PVOD releases have to forego about 20% of each rental. So their $30 markup, they're getting a lot, an awful lot, all of it essentially. Now here's the interesting part, okay? So figuring out how Mulan needs to perform on PVOD to break even is a complicated calculation given a number of factors, including the fact that the film will still play in some markets on the big screen, including China, of course, because it's a Chinese movie, it's made for China. Greenfield suggests that Mulan, if it were only a global PVOD release on Disney Plus, here it is, would need to sell 29 million units to equal $1 billion in global box office grosses. Now that estimate, however, excludes theatrical revenue from the markets where it can play in cinemas, and the benefit of drawing new Disney Plus subscribers and the potential to monetize by windowing Mulan on third-party PVOD platforms. So they think that they're going to make bank, basically. They genuinely do, and this is the mainstream media bias here. But then they round out with this very, very telling point. Now, Handler points out that there's been no backlash to Disney's announcement, as there was after Universal unveiled its digital release plan for Trolls World Tour. But he says, if you're an exhibitor, you have to be worried that Disney is using this as a trial balloon. Well, they are. But where is the backlash? Why are the theatres not going crazy? What is going on here? Because when Universal did it, all hell broke loose. So it's very interesting. I always think the industry's a very transparent one. Mainstream media, they're fairly transparent. Studios are fairly transparent. And now it seems the theatre chains are fairly transparent as well with their sort of points on stuff. But there you go. I thought this was interesting. I just kind of wanted to deep dive in and have a talk about it and stuff. But it would appear that, you know, Mulan will probably be a success. I still say that it's a huge risk. You know, the Chinese markets, I'm fairly certain they weren't massively flocking back to theatres. They were struggling. They were even forcing people to go back. Or trying to, FYI, just sort of clarify that. But it'll be interesting. I also think Tenet will be telling. Because obviously it's not being released in the UK as far as I remember anyway from the press releases and stuff. But Tenet will tell Disney what to do moving forwards. And I also think a lot of theatre chains will be relying on Tenet and Disney's reaction to Tenet moving forwards. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're new here, please do hit subscribe to stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thank you all so much. I've got a frog in my throat. I've been Mr. H. Take care.